geez, it's looking dark. I felt like I overlooked the most important person I've been working for the entire community. Um, the year 2021, as I mentioned, when all the sites were down, as far as transferring and migrating licenses um, correctly, mostly the transfers because that was involving the sale of the actual 3D print licenses themselves. And this affects the CNC community as well because they're in the same boat as us, and they license stuff at the same sites. The CGI communities as well, and there's some other files as well. But so it became like my mission and task to sort it out. Because as I mentioned, I had these clients that I'd made things for, and that I was meant to be selling these objects, and so it became my total focus to get this sorted for the community. The community is who I didn't mention, and it's like who did I work really hard for? Well, yeah, okay, it was for me as well. Of course, I had skin in the game up to here, but for the community, for everybody, for anyone who at some point might decide that they want to sell their invention ownership outright, not just the file or the print or um, that sort of thing, but the actual ownership. And it's like, that's everyone. And so, because this affected everyone globally's value, it was everyone's value was affected across the board. And I took it upon myself to attempt to solve this for everybody because it was like, well, I've been in this such a long time, I knew a lot about it, and I had become like sort of king of the hill in a way, and I'd started saying, yeah, I'm the king of 3D printing as soon as I had tea Earl Grey hot, because I was like, I'm getting to everywhere first. It was like just that one license alone. Like I was thinking, what is it that you own that you think you're the king of this game? Is it, what have you got? Water, oil, gold? What is it? And I was like, yes, I've got all that. What else have you got? Um, and it's like, oh, so what? That makes you the king? And I was like, well, no, my opinion is the king's license is tea Earl Grey hot. To me, that was it might not have particularly any great monetary value specifically, but just the sort of on the ground street cred of owning that one particular license, being like the most famous 3D print in history. Yeah, I was like, yeah, well, yeah, I'm the king. I'm the king of 3D printing licenses in the world. And so, yeah, I started saying that. But that's what I wanted to say in this particular clip was that I put all this effort in for me, yes, for my clients, but for everybody in the entire community. And so, we're talking millions and millions of people across the planet whose value um, has been affected by this. Jobs, um, you know, straight out money, and businesses that couldn't operate, like myself and the people that I've made stuff for. So we're talking of an epically massive value sort of freeze or loss. And it's a loss because when you can't operate it, you're not making money, and bills keep coming in. They don't stop arriving just because your money stops coming in. You've just got to, as a friend of mine said, Mr. Tim Shadbolt, said to me once, you've got to be resilient, and you do. When things get tough, you've got to be resilient, and that's part of sort of getting through things. And so I just wanted to put that out there that yeah, this also was done for everybody in the 3D print community, and I have come to realise that the CNC crowd and the CGI crowd, we're all in this. We're all in these boats because we're all licensing at these same websites. It's just that the crossover between our industries has never really been there because we were all doing our own individual things, and so there was no rhyme or reason for us to have this connection. And then when these services sort of fell on their face and weren't able to resume for whatever reason, um, and me with my knowledge of this, because as I say, when everyone was printing pegs and Yoda heads like I was as well, I sort of thought, oh well, you can sell the picture file, like the STL file, which is you just have to draw the picture of the item and you can sell that, and it's like, oh wow. And so I started doing that as well, like a lot of people did. And then a lot of the influencers or people who um, sort of like them, like the influencers, where they'd sort of get sidetracked in a way, where they'd sort of step off the escalator because they had a position and their job was to sell you a new printer to all the noobs out there. It's like, review a printer and sell it to them, or explain to them how to unclog the extruder tip, or how to print a beer coaster, or this week we're going to print a new plastic peg with a bat wings on it, or whatever it might be. Um, so I wasn't particularly focused on stepping off the escalator as much as keeping my eyes on the direction where it was going. And so I was always looking ahead to the horizon, like I was saying. And so as soon as I got STL's files sold, I was looking at, well, how else can this work? And of course, there's more ways to look at the printer, like polish. You're not expecting that your 3D printer could polish something, but yet it's possible that it can, so I licensed it. So there was so many angles to what these machines were capable of achieving. And then in my just thinking hard to myself, I sort of started to think, well, what about the ownership of the actual invention itself? And so I looked around and there was nothing written about it, and because people have asked me, well, I didn't see anything about that in the user instructions on the website or whatever, and that's not how I found out. That's not how it happened. It happened because I've got a great imagination apparently, and I just thought it up. It's quite obvious now when you hear me say it, but it's like it sort of wasn't. And apparently I was the first person anywhere to have sold one of these licenses, and it's like in my country, I was the first person to have sold one on an auction website where it actually got auctioned off. And that was a fascinating exercise that took a lot of effort. You'd be quite surprised about how hard that was. Um, and after a couple of listings like that, and I escalated, quite quickly, because it's like as soon as I realised I had another small door open, it's like I rushed in there like the Wild West, where it was like yours by right of being there sort of thing first. And so uh, I'd ended up running a $99 million listing on our country's main sales site, and they were like, wow, uh, that to get to that point, that I had to coach them on what a 3D printer was. They didn't even know what it was or how it worked or anything about it, or the fact that there was such a thing as licensing a 3D printed invention or anything like this. And they were having lawyers meetings, and it sounded very expensive, and so I kind of felt for them. But eventually, after being stopped and started a whole lot of times, and it took so much work for me to keep writing, writing in, and then they'd write back, and I'd write in, and I'd write back, and the lawyers must have been going over it with a fine tooth comb, and eventually they give me the go ahead and the green light to carry on after being stopped a bunch of times, while they reconsidered and looked at it again. And as I've mentioned, one of the things that came out of that was um, they said if you print a certificate and sell it with the license, you're all good and carry on. So I was like, sure thing. So um, yeah, I was the first person to have actually sold a license, and as I mentioned, um, it wasn't in any instructions anywhere. I just imagined that this must be a possibility, and I wrote into places, to different websites and like Thingiverse. I wrote into them and says, "Oh, is this concept a possibility?" And they were like, "Well, yes, it is, in fact." And I was like, "Wow, that wasn't even in any of the how-tos, or what options you've got and what services they offer and all that, and it wasn't written anywhere, and it was only by actually asking that they were like, well, in fact, you're right, and you can do that, and I did do that, and that's what I was doing. So anyway, this vid is just meant to be saying that um, I didn't just do this for me, and I didn't just do it for my clients. I've done this for everybody, and I spent 12 months on this case, like every day, chasing the resumption of business services around the world, here, there, everywhere. I was that was my job, was to be on that case and to pursue getting a resumption for everybody, and so that our value, our jobs, our businesses could resume, and that everybody could have the opportunity to get to sell their invention ownership or buy someone else's inventions. Um, So yeah, I hope that helps everybody out. And as I mentioned, it's only been within the last week that I had a confirmation again from Cult 3D that yes, in writing from one of their owners, that yes, by request, manual request, you can get your date match correctly after you've migrated from Thingiverse, for example. And so as I mentioned, it doesn't happen automatically. The automatic version isn't complete. It's not full. It's not truly migrated. You've partially migrated it. So just watch for that. And I have to go. I can hear. Here I have to go. So anyway, good luck to everyone, and I hope it helps everyone. And I'm going to continue to try and get other businesses to resume theirs as well, the likes of Thingiverse and others. Again, good luck everyone, and I wish you all nice success, and be well, from Will and Mr. Data out the back there. I'll see you next time.